Welcome back, friends. LostScarf here, and it's time for more Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations. There it is. We're going to combine these two things. That's what we're doing. So, Inkstain and Fountain Pen connect. Time with the voice LP to continue. That splotch on Mr. Faraday's hand, I wonder if it might be the ink from his fountain pen. Oh, let's ask the lab guy. Detective Gumshoe, I confirm that the substance on Mr. Faraday's hand is the ink from his fountain pen. I see. Good work. I've always wanted to say that, even if it was just one time in my life. If Mr. Faraday wrote with his fountain pen in his left hand, I think it's fair to assume he was left-handed. It appears that Mr. Faraday's pen is very important to our case as well. Okay, if you say so, pal. Unless he was ambidextrous, the rare ambidextrous would really screw up a case, wouldn't it? I guess there's not much left to investigate, huh? They really did kill each other. No, we can't conclude that quite yet. There's still something I find very peculiar here. The theory that they simply killed one another is too simplistic in this case. In fact, there's actually a contradiction that shows there's another possibility. No way, pal, really? I suppose I will just have to show you the conflict in this crime scene. Alright, is it the hand? Okay, let me get two bodies really quick. Let me grab two Kirbys. Kirby? And Kirby. Okay. Both of them are holding their things with their right hands. So, if they're facing each other, if Kirby were to hit Kirby, he'd hit him on the left side. If Kirby were to hit Kirby, he'd hit him on the left side. But the wounds are on the right side. So Kirby would have to go bam and bam. They'd have to catch each other like this. That's one for me. That's one to me right there. Like, oh, there's the Kirbys right there. Like, the Kirbys are just, yeah. So, also dueling Kirbys. I think that's one of the things is that the wounds are in a weird spot because a guy shooting with his right would hit the left, right? But the other weird thing is he's got ink on his left hand. So let's go ahead and just say it's the hand. So scum save in case I'm wrong. Deduce. Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? Go with the pen. Eureka! Now we can place the face with the contradiction I spoke of, and it is this. Mr. Faraday used his left hand to write with his fountain pen. Ergo, he is left-handed. And yet, the handgun is in his right hand. Don't you find it odd that the left-handed Mr. Faraday would hold the gun in his right hand? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the great contradiction haunting this crime scene. Hey, you're right, pal. That does seem kind of strange. But how could something like that happen? The facts add up to one conclusion and one alone. Someone else put the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand after he died. Someone else? Plastic bag scattered on the floor and a gun in the wrong hand? I sense the presence of a shadowy figure behind this case. A person of vile intent who is serious about keeping the truth from us. Investigation complete! Bong. September 10th, District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 2. Here's the autopsy report. It is probable that Mr. L survived for a short time after he was shot. However, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously from his stabbing. Interesting. It looks like we now know everything we need to know about this case. You sure we know everything? Of course. The incident began with Mr. Faraday attempting to get his revenge. The prosecutor went into a rage from being accused and tried to kill the defendant. But the defendant fought back and they ended up killing each other. Does a friggin' bow. It's all very clear and simple. There is absolutely no margin for doubt. Do you really believe that to be the truth? Ha! Are you saying that just because I figured out the truth before you, that you don't want to believe it's true? No. It's alright. If you disagree with my argument, then prove me wrong. What if there are any contradictions to be found, that is? Don't worry, I will. Alright, here we go. Time to battle. What happened? Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rell survived for a short time. From this, it is obvious that Mr. Faraday died after he shot Mr. Rell. Mr. Rell, while on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. Those are the facts of this case. Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, therefore he must have attacked first. Proving that logic to be false is probably the fastest way to show her that she's wrong. In that case, I should first look for any holes in her theory. What happened? Alright, press. Press are good. Do you truly believe that Mr. Faraday died instantaneously? I have the murder report right here. Get closer. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously of shock due to being stabbed in the chest. There you see, it's been documented clear as day. Hold it. Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell before he died? Do you have any basis for that statement? Your foolishness has no end, does it? Now, I hate to repeat myself, however. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously. That's all the basis I need. Alright, so if Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, then he must have attacked Mr. Rell before being stabbed. You're finally beginning to catch on, I see. Hold it. So you believe that the dying Mr. Rell stole the knife from Mr. Faraday? Mr. Rell became desperate as he did not want to die. Human beings can do amazing things when they are put to the test. So the two men struggled. And in the end, Mr. Rell was able to grab the knife and stab Mr. Faraday. The messy condition of this room is a testament to their struggle. Yes, my logic is perfectly sound. Can you really say that? It's perfect? What are you insinuating? Nothing. However, I can't let what you said slide without further inquiry. One must be clear and precise. So you could append that statement to your testimony? Fine. They struggled, and Mr. Rell used the last of his strength to counteract Mr. Faraday. About this statement. Mr. Rell used all of his remaining strength to take the knife and defend himself. One can easily see that they had a violent struggle. Of course, it's nothing compared to what my riding crop can do. How does one compare the damage her crop can do to the worst state of this room? Furthermore, all the plastic bags on the floor in this room were scattered there due to the fight. Is there anything else that I can explain to you? No, that will be fine. Again, the problem is that we see that they both took a shot to the right. Oh, hey, look at this. Okay. 4 p.m. discovered immediately after gunshot was heard. Body died of a knife stab to the chest. The shock from the stabbing caused instantaneous death. Rell died of a bullet wound to the chest. There's no gunpowder burn on his clothes, so it's just he was shot a few yards away. Was reliable after being shot. If he died first, if he died instantaneously, I guess he could land on him first, huh? Why would they land on each other? Would you really stab a guy and then just fall forward and then he would fall on top of you? Wouldn't you fall... I guess you could... you could fall forward. I feel like they'd be in weird clumps, not like that. But how do you express that? Claiming speculation is fact already? Do you feel that the evidence is a bit lacking? Don't you feel? You'll find all the evidence you need just by looking around this room. Mr. Faraday collapsed on top of Mr. L. In addition, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, making a counterattack impossible. Furthermore, the room is a total mess from their fight. I dare say that there's more evidence here than you could whip at. It looks like she's becoming more and more confident. And looking at this place, she might have a right to be. After all, everything here seems to support her theory. It looks like you're starting to see my point. I've as good as won our little competition. There's something strange about Francesca's theory. I should compare her claim to the data I've gathered thus far. I just know there's a contradiction somewhere. Alright, let's say it's here. Scum's here. What can I put to this? The autopsy itself? Oh, the gunshot testimony! Okay. If the two men were fighting, the struggle would have surely caused quite a bit of noise. However, Detective Gumshoe testified that he heard absolutely nothing. Ah, you place too much faith in that detective's testimony, you know? But for the sake of argument, let's say there wasn't a fight. How then did Mr. Rowell get his hands on the knife? Mr. Faraday's bag was sitting right here in lobby number 2. It's not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. Rowell saw a chance and took it out at some point. So, what you're saying is this. Mr. Rowell took a chance when he saw the opportunity and took the knife from the bag? And then Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rowell after being stabbed? Isn't there something strange in Francesca's statement just now? Yeah, something's off. Wait, something doesn't add up. Oh, really? It's simply not possible for Mr. Faraday to have shot Mr. Rowell after being stabbed. Because he died instantaneously, we already got that, yeah. According to the coroner's report, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, meaning that he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, he cannot possibly have fired the gun after that. Oh, you got me. But of course. Well then, if the report is correct, then there's only one correct explanation. It was supposed that Mr. Rowell attacked first. The Mr. Faraday, who died instantaneously, would have been unable to kill Mr. Rowell. Therefore, Mr. Rowell must have stabbed Mr. Faraday after he was shot. Then they both died. That is the only explanation that makes logical sense. Negating your opponent's ideas in order to prove your own theory. I see you've been studying, Francesca. I just wanted to explain it to you as simply as possible. Before you foolishly propose a foolish theory that only a foolish fool like you could. How naive of you to believe that only your opinions are valid. And still expect to discover the truth that the crime scene offers you. He's winking. Alright. Francesca? You've still got a ways to go. What are you talking about? Are you saying there's a flaw in my logic? Mr. Faraday died instantly. And the fact that he did is what gives rise to the contradiction in this scene. The contradiction here in this crime scene is... the order of the bodies fell? The evidence bag's location... I don't know. Let me get this straight. What you're arguing is this. Mr. Faraday took the gun from his evidence bag and shot Mr. Rell. Then the wounded Mr. Rell found an opportunity to take the knife and strike back. Upon being stabbed, Mr. Faraday died on the spot, and Mr. Rell died afterwards. If that's the case, then how do you explain this? Take a good look at the order in which their bodies are piled. No. Mr. Faraday's body is lying on top of Mr. Rell's. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have died before Mr. Faraday. Impossible! She still does that! Oh my god. So weird that she does that. Yes, I agree that it seems strange no matter what angle you approach it from. Which means that the real mystery behind this crime scene that we must solve is... No, not so fast, Miles Edgeworth. What now? I simply think that you ought to think a bit more outside the box. And that it's even clearer now that the incident started Mr. Faraday's murderous intent. She sure bounced back quickly. An explanation won't be enough this time. It's going to take some very decisive evidence to prove her wrong. What happened part 2? Electric Boogaloo. It was just chance that Mr. Faraday's body fell on top of Mr. Rell's. The two bodies fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time. It really doesn't matter in the slightest that they fell in the opposite order. I just know that Francesca's explanation isn't absolutely correct. All I have to do is find a hole in her logic. Once I do, I can then present her with the evidence that proves the contradiction. What happened part 2? Press. About that. Okay! Pressing someone's testimony in order to gain some time to think. You're a real one-trick pony, aren't you? It's too bad your trick only works on fools. That wasn't my intent! I simply wish for more details as to how Mr. Faraday ended up on top of Mr. L. Someone's impatient. I was just about to explain everything to you. But do you think you could hold on for a minute? You think you'd ever get penalized for pressing? Ugh. Francesca, I'll make you a deal. I'll hold on if you hold on to that whip of yours. Oh, I'll hold on to it alright, as I whip you. Oh. Well, now that you've quieted down a bit, I'd like to continue if you don't mind. Do it again. The two fell on top of each other? Don't you find that to be just a bit strange? Not at all. Ugh! I can see it in her eyes. She's dead set against me from the bottom of her heart. Miles Edgeworth, once I'm done here, you'll see that there's nothing strange at all. Now then, the two men fall into a pile. What do you mean by they attacked each other at the same time? I assume Mr. Faraday had the two different weapons in his hands. There it is! He made to attack Mr. Rell while holding both the knife and the revolver, and then, after Mr. Faraday fired the gun, Mr. Rell grabbed the knife as he was firing and grabbed Mr. Faraday. This means someone else was the killer. The question is how? That is how Mr. Rell wound up on the bottom with Mr. Faraday on top. At close range, that is more than possible. Yes, it's possible, but... Well, if you have any other ideas, then show me what you've got. Oh, I will. And to that extent, I'd like for you to append what you just said to your testimony. I don't see any point to that, but as you please. That fact indicates that they attacked each other at the same time from close range. You're saying that they attacked each other at the same time from close range? Exactly. Gunpowder. Mr. Faraday pointed the gun at Mr. Rell's chest and pulled the trigger. Mr. Rell then took the knife from Mr. Faraday and stabbed him before he fell unconscious. The dead Mr. Faraday instantly fell on top of Mr. Rell from the stabbing, pinning Mr. Rell under him, where he died shortly thereafter. And that's how they ended up on top of each other, with no contradictions to be seen. I already had the answer, but still. Do you really believe they fell in the exact opposite order in which they attacked? Miles Edgeworth? You're not even listening to what I'm saying. They both attacked each other at the same time, and Mr. Rill fell first by chance, leaving Mr. Faraday to just happen to fall on top of him. Then Mr. L died shortly thereafter, pinned underneath Mr. Faraday. That's how it happened. So the two men attacked each other, with Mr. L randomly falling down first. The fact that the order that they attack each other in varies from the order they fell in doesn't cause a problem for me. However, there's definitely one certain aspect that I'm having trouble swallowing. There it is. Present! There it is. Present! Do you believe they killed each other at close range? Sorry, but that's impossible. Just as it is written in the crime scene notes. The firing of the handgun did not leave a gunpowder burn on Mr. L's clothes. Therefore, Mr. L and the gun must have been separated by a distance of at least 2 or 3 yards. Ah! Oh my god! Yes, this is by far the biggest contradiction. The two bodies are piled up on each other, yet the gun was fired from a distance. And with there being no chance that Mr. L moved that far after being shot, that leaves only one possible explanation. What a completely foolish line of foolishly thought from a thoroughly foolish fool. If I'm not right, then who was it that made the first move with the intent to kill, huh? Who? The person that attacked first with murderous intent? That would be... I'm saying neither man. Here in this room, contradictions appear no matter which man we claim attacked first. Thus there can be only one explanation. There was a third person here. Ah, oh my god. It was that third person who killed both Mr. Faraday and Mr. L, and set their bodies up to make it look like a double murder. I found interesting that Francesca has never beaten Edgeworth, and yet she still really, really, really wants to get a one-up on him. It's like, can we stop? It's been 7 years. That third person is the real culprit. Huh? Miles Edgeworth, there's just one thing I'm missing. Evidence, correct? Exactly. Everything you've said up until now is nothing but a story played out in your head. However, this is where the real test begins. Can you prove that there was a third person involved in this crime? Of course. The third person was truly here. That fact would resolve the glaring contradiction. The proof of that, this has all been a setup made to look like they killed each other. I'll present it, and they bear the final piece of the puzzle that's not yet in place. What is the piece of evidence that proves there is a third person involved? Balls if I know. Check pen. It seems Mr. Faraday was in the habit of using very nice fountain pens. That's the total opposite of me. I don't get these things at all. Well, I think the pencil behind here suits you just fine. Really? You think so, pal? Man, I knew it was worth something. That wasn't exactly a compliment, Detective. This looks like a quality nib. Hey, let me test it out, pal. Oh, this is really, I got ink all over my hand. Detective Gumshoe, don't ever play with the evidence like that again. Probably everything. Okay. Let's go with this, I guess. Alright, let's go. Scum safe. The gun of Mr. Faraday's hand and the plastic bag with his blood on it. These two items point to the presence of a third person. How so? Recall Detective Gumshoe's testimony. I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. If there wasn't a struggle in this room, then there shouldn't be any plastic bags on the ground. Meaning that someone else must have deliberately scattered them around. Do you not see the possibility in this? Disregarding the gun for the moment? There's a high probability of blood splatter when a knife is used on a person. If the culprit held the knife with a plastic bag around it, they could use the bag to catch any blood splatter from when they withdrew the knife. Why would they do that? Then by spreading a few more plastic bags around, mixing the blood one in with them, and arranging the room to make it look like there was a struggle between the two, they were able to conceal their presence. Ah! Bad's right there. Looks like we still got a long way to go in this investigation. Yes. Objection. Whose voice was that? Oh, hers. Like she has her own song. What the heck's up with you, pal? Mr. Bad, I advise you to place Detective Gumshoe under arrest. What? What's the meaning of this? Huh. Looks like you're not man enough to discipline your own subordinates. Don't you dare! The detective claims he was there, standing in front of the door the entire time. But I have it on good authority that it was all a giant lie. Huh? Miss you? I said you please explain that last statement. Let His Honor explain it himself. I saw it with my own eyes, I tell you. During the recess, there was a period of time when there was no one in the hallway. What? See, Mr. Bad? So I ask you, why would a detective who was supposedly doing his job the whole time want to fabricate such a lie? Gumshoe, did you kill Mr. Faraday? No! Of course not, sir! It would appear that the one who set this whole crime scene up is the detective, which basically renders his testimony a complete lie and wholly invalid. It looks like your perfect logic has come tumbling down, Miles. I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. Was that statement really a lie? Detective Gumshoe, you're now a suspect in the murder of 2 men. Now spit out the truth or so help me. I haven't lied to anyone, sir, honest. I really was there. I was in the hallway the whole time. Hold it. Detective Bad, I ask that you please do not act without my permission. After all, I am the one that is heading up this investigation, am I not? Don't talk like you know what's going on, boy. All I want is for this investigation to run smoothly. Perfection is the only wish of a disciple of Von Kamm, after all. Therefore, before you take Detective Gumshoe into custody, I'd like to set the record straight on something. And what's that, boy? What should I ask Detective Gumshoe about? Stay to the hallway. Detective Gumshoe, I take it that no one else was in that hallway at any time, correct? Huh? Oh, of course not, pal! You're being awfully defensive. Might you be hiding something from me? Watch your mouth, pal! You can't go around saying stuff like that about me without any evidence. I suppose you're right. I have no evidence at this point. Miles Edgeworth, how can you be losing a battle of wits with this detective? You're a disgrace. Maybe I should ask about something else. Why wasn't he in the hallway? Detective Gumshoe, why were you missing from the hallway for a span of time? Look, pal, like I said, I was there the whole time, okay? But there's testimony against you that... Miles Edgeworth, why are you wasting our time with a completely useless question? The only logical reason as to why he was absent is that he was busy committing the crime. Anyone who says otherwise is a fool. Maybe I should ask about something else. So just the motive? Alright. I suppose the one thing I'd like clarified is Detective Gumshoe's motive for committing this crime. Oh, I get it. Motive, huh? Gumshoe, you got a grudge against Faraday or something? No, sir, not me. Not a single bad thing against Mr. Faraday, sir. Is that a fact? Freaking her voice. You really have a problem with lying, don't you, Detective Gumshoe? I'm telling you, I am not lying. Just gotta put more oomph into that, but my throat's already tearing up. The more unnatural you act, the more suspicious you become, you know? If you want a motive, Edgeworth, I have one for you right here. Could you please share it with us? However, be forewarned that I won't hesitate to object to flights of fancy. Because all I'm interested in is the perfect explanation. You're serious, aren't you? Fine, you amuse me, so I'll humor you with a little courtroom practice. I like this lady. She just takes the piss out of him. Gumshoe's motive. We're gonna step after this one. I guess once we find the evidence, we'll stop there. It was about a week ago. I saw the detective. I said defective. I saw the detective get chewed out by a livid Faraday in front of the precinct. He stood there super pale as Mr. Faraday yelled, "That's a salary cut for you, you nitwit." A brand new detective suddenly getting his salary cut. That's reason enough for a grudge. Well, how's that for the perfect explanation? You totally misunderstand me, pal. No matter how mad I get, I could never hold a grudge. Quiet. We can't trust anything you say. Sir? There's nothing wrong with the motive she proposed, per se. But there are some gaps in her logic that need to be filled in. Misused perfect explanation may not be so perfect at all. Alright, here we go. A week ago? Then you and Detective Gumshoe are acquaintances. No way. I only met him in person today. Then how did you know about Detective Gumshoe? Oh, I've seen him around before. Hold it. Mr. Faraday was upset? Yeah. You know what else? Mr. Faraday isn't exactly known to get angry often. But there he was, totally beat red in the face. And the offending detective just stood there, pale as a ghost, like he was about to die. Just like the face he's making now, right? I'm completely innocent, I tell you. The poor man. Oh god. It was quite the scene with the detective. You just stood there watching this unfold in front of you? Yeah, I have to say it was really enjoyable too. But that's why when I saw Detective Gumshoe earlier, I knew to steer clear of him. No way! I thought it was because I had something stuck on my face. But you do. Huh? Why did I get stuck on my face? Let's start with your eyes, nose, mouth. Oh. And those ridiculous eyebrows. Huh? Oh man, messing with your head is just too much fun. Miss you, if you don't mind, I'd like to return to your testimony now. Sure, why not? Hold it. You got a new detective salary right off the bat like that. I'm not really familiar with the way you guys relate, but is that a common practice? Speaking of cutting my salary, didn't you threaten to do that to me earlier too? I suppose I did. It's only natural to cut a worthless detective's salary down to their actual worth. My father can even fire anyone new or old with a snap of his fingers. Do you think maybe that's reason enough for detectives to hate you people? Well, I guess. They really shouldn't cut people's pay. Detective Pad, don't tell me Mr. Von Karma cut your salary earlier.
Hold it!
You call your explanation perfect? Haha. Is it not to your liking? Unfortunately for you, it's just not up to my standards. Oh, is there something you want me to clarify in that case? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Sure, why not? Alright, if you could clear with this one thing up for me. Motive for killing Mr. Rell. I understand Detective Gumshoe's potential motive for killing Mr. Faraday. However, what about his motive for killing Mr. Rell? His motive for killing Rell? Like I would know. If there was no clear motive for both of the murders, then I doubt this incident would have occurred, wouldn't you agree? Is there anyone else who might have had a grudge against either of the two men? Or should we look into that ourselves? Oh, in that case, I have absolutely no idea. What? But that's impossible. She must know something. Wait. Can you please not glare at me like that? It makes me laugh. I didn't even do anything and you're already laughing away. Well, anyway, the way I see it, as long as he had a motive to kill one of the two, this crime would have played out the way it did anyway. Oh, would you care to explain your logic? And this time, please try to provide a truly perfect explanation. Perfect this, perfect that. Stop being so uptight, or is that a requisite trait for being a Von Karma? Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you shut this rude woman up. I wish you'd both be quiet for this just 1 second. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to explain it to you kids. Round 2! Alright, we'll stop there. What did we kill the men? Alright, we'll stop there. Next time we will go for this. So, that right there is the game for now. I have fun. Hope you have fun watching. That's what's all about. Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.